Brada the Butcher, commander of the Bloody Blades, stood in his war room, buried deep within the twisting passages of the Hobgoblin warrens. He stepped around the hanging lamp so his one surviving eye could study the junior officer who actually had the bones to deliver bad news to his face. Long Ears could hear the low scrape of the mail as his lieutenant shifted anxiously. "And?" came out in his gravelly voice.
We think the deserter used some kind of spell to escape. Floated keys to himself."
The Hobgoblin swallowed hard as he saw red tint his general's gray-blue skin.
Looks like he's headed to the East Iska. We're punishing one of the guard for more information now, sir.
The tension in his clenched fist rose up his long arms, knotting his muscled back. Brada took a deep breath, pushing each angered word through his sharp teeth with disciplined measure. "You mean to tell me he used elf magic? You're telling me one of my people used that filth in my warrens?" A scarred hand gripped the well-worn sword hilt. The very thought of his warrens being sullied by dark arts was terrible enough, but by one of his men? Even broken, that damned elf found a way to strike out at them, corrupting one of his own people with his foul magic. He had truly underestimated those creatures' twisted, petty nature. That it died before he'd even half finished skinning the thing was just salt in his wounded honor. Brada's fist slammed down, making the table and his young officer jump. "Who did this?"
It was Boddy, sir. The medic's apprentice in second company.
I should have known that subversive coward would turn into an elf lover.
I'll put out the normal bounty on his head.
No. Offer 10 times that for his skull, and 100 if the boy is still breathing. I'll scourge this sin out of his flesh with my own hands. I want to see the look in that traitor's eyes when he sees Khanzoriant's damnation coming for him. Put the word out to my best trackers.
That's done.
A feminine voice purred from a dark corner of the room.
Your best tracker just heard it.
A lean hobgoblin woman sauntered out of the shadows cast by the room's lone oil lamp. The scars down her lavender-skinned face matched an owlbear's paw. Her wiry frame was wrapped in a jack of cured leather. A shining rapier of the finest Chilaxian steel hung from her belt. "Sergeant Dimiri, I thought I sent you to..."
Talk to that orc that supplied us dodgy helmets? Yeah, already did. And he was right sorry. Practically beside himself. At least that's how I left him.
Dimiri tossed a dismembered lower jaw onto one of his elf-skin maps. Its heavy tusks gleamed in the lamplight. Brada nodded appreciatively at her disgusting trophy. "Yeah, that's good. You keep with this kind of initiative, you'll be counting the bounty in no time."
Keep your bounty. Titles shine better than coin. I want to be a proper officer. No more of this sulking about in the woods, picking up work ambushing grain carts for me. I want a real unit. I want to win real glories.
The butcher's lips pulled back to show a line of sharp teeth, save the pair that were snapped short by an enemy he'd only half remembered. "Right. It's as good as yours. Bring me a body." The hearth in the small roadside tavern pushed back the chill left by the afternoon rain. A bubbling pot over the flames promised a spiced stew. The local miller and his mates monopolized the tables nearest the fire, forcing damp travelers back into dark corners. The barkeep hovered near a ragged stranger hunched at the end of the bar. He didn't care much for outsiders or the stories they insisted on sharing. But this one, well, he was getting worse for ale, if that meant better for tips. The man finished a long pull on the local brew, foam gleaming in his tangled beard.
"We're defending ourselves, like I said. Now Trevor, big man that he is, beats the blueskin freak into the dirt fast as you can. He's about to finish him, and that hobgoblin disappears in magics, teleblink sports, whatever, right behind old Trevor."
"Hobgoblins don't know magic.
Well, this one did. I saw it with my own eyes.
The brigand staggered back from the bar, calloused hands resting on the short axe shoved through his belt.
Hey, you call me a liar?
The room went quiet. A cloak-swathed figure leaned forward in the shadowy corner, long ears perking up beneath a heavy hood. An easy smile flashed over the bartender's face. This was hardly his first unruly drunk.
Course not, friend. A simple man like me doesn't travel. You see, I have never heard of a teleporting murderer before.
Well, bless your bit. He didn't murder anyone. He just threatened them. It was that elf witch, the one cavorting about with a goblin in the bushes, if you know what I mean. She summoned an arrow out of the blue sky, shot old Trevor dead where he stood.
A bushy brow furrowed as the keep leaned over his bar.
So, how did you survive to make it here?
Well, that's the crazy part. And I'll tell you that after I drain my britches.
Hey, not here. You settle it up and take it out back.
Yeah.
With an agreeable grunt, the bandit drops the small pouch onto the bar.
What's my tab?
The bartender's eyes glittered at the coins before him.
Normally 4 mugs is 4 copper, but I'll only take 3, he said.
He slid 4 silver into his palm.
Because you have an honest face.
The man smiled at that, retrieved his remaining lucre, and stumbled into the night to relieve himself, unaware of the thin figure slipping out behind him, quiet as a shadow. Once the door shut, the bartender threw his hands in the air.
A magic hobgoblin. Who ever heard of such nonsense?
Outside in the damp and dark, Dimiri waited for the bandit to be in the midst of conducting his, business off the bank of the nearby creek before putting her blade to his throat. He froze at the feeling of cold steel. A break in the clouds illuminated the hobgoblin's lavender skin, her scar-covered face smiling wickedly beneath the heavy hood.
Got you by the coin purse, eh? Keep hands on your bodkin. Answer me quick, and I won't hurt ya.
The rapier's keen edge bit his skin as he swallowed.
What do you want?
Your magic hobgoblin. Where'd you see him last?
She could almost watch his little mind spin.
A furlong north of where the road splits to dust spawn. Those bastards killed my friends. If you're going...
The rapier cut him to the spine with a flick of her wrist. A heel kick sent him down the bank to gurgle out his last moments in the creek. Dimiri cleaned her blade before she searched up her 2 lanky companions that she left lurking in the underbrush.
Acklam, you'll tell the client I'll be at the fort tomorrow. Chenick, with me. We got a little of ledger business tonight.
The clouds parted to full moonlight as the pair of hobgoblins moved beneath the old oaks, quiet and alert as wolves on the hunt. They found their dead bandits' fellows easy enough, rolled into a shallow depression under the trees. He barely took time from nicking their coin to toss leaves on his fallen brothers. And humans called them monsters. Once Chenick notched an arrow to provide overwatch, Dimiri moved out to the tree cover to examine the road. There were a multitude of tracks and bits of scuffed earth. The quick storm had washed the fine details out, but it would take more than that to dissuade this hunter.
There it is.
Dimiri's lips pulled back in a mirthless smile. She pointed to man-sized tracks filled with rough tread the rain hadn't fully destroyed.
That marks a worn boot if I ever seen one. Looks like he headed off with a pair of others. One small, could be a gnome, probably a gobbo. And light steps from that elf witch.
Dimiri's blood never burned with the warren's hatred of elves, but she'd seen the kind of perversions that elf magic can make with her own eyes, and rankled at the idea of one more of those things wandering the world.
They took the path north to Breach Hill. Don't look to be in a hurry. Won't be there till morning. What say, we just run 'em down?
Silence greeted her. Dimiri looked up. She'd been so consumed with weeding the mud in the road, she hadn't noticed the fog that had rolled in through the trees. Chenick stood there, bow in hand, staring past her.
Come on, you maggot. We got to get going.
No response, not even a blink.
Chenick! Chenick!
The tracker's fingers glided instinctively to her rapier hilt. She felt the cold roll in before she saw the shape of the great horse looming out of the mist. Dimiri didn't like horses. Every kind of goblin kind reviled at the sight of them. But when this mount stepped bold into the moonlight, bones without flesh or skin, her blood turned to ice. The great pale steed whinnied with no more sound than the jangle of its harness. On it rode a figure, thin and lean, swathed in dark robes. All she could see of the face was two eyes mirrored back in the moonlight. Her breath formed a cloud in the sudden chill.
Why are you here?
Dimiri flinched. Not a sound came from the rider. A whisper, like a death rattle, manifested directly into her ear. She could almost feel the breath on her skin. The band agreed to take on mercenary work to bolster their coffers. Pity they didn't consider their clients more carefully. Hands returned to her side.
Oi, boss. Didn't expect to see you out here.
Dimiri's smile never reached her eyes.
Didn't Axum have a word with you?
A shudder ran through her.
Yeah, I will, but you see, I gotta deal with a bit of war in business. Little something us hobs gotta sort out amongst ourselves. I'll be back by...
When I claim Alceta's ring, you will be free for your horrid business.
Yeah, well, the free thing is an issue. This has a bit of import to it, and...
As she spoke, the rider produced a silk pouch from beneath its robes. The twisted spectral hand continued forward, absent of its own arm, and reached Dimiri from 10 yards away. The pouch hit the ground at her feet with the clank of coins. Dimiri stared down at the emerald green pouch resting on the toe of her muddied boot. Did she dare spurn this pay?
Return now.
She plucked the pouch off the ground, feeling the weight within it. That decision had just been made for her.
Right. We'll be...
The figure had already turned and ridden into the mist. Dimiri watched the skeletal rider recede into the gloom. Chenick suddenly snapped to action, drawing back his bow.
Sergeant, watch out!
He looked around in confusion.
There was a rider coming down the road.
Forget it. We best get back to camp.
She glanced down at the heavy boot print pointing toward Breachel and crushed it beneath her heel.
No one follows him tonight. Give Boddy an head start.
Her eyes lingered on the empty road.
It won't matter in the end.
I think we need one line from a Chenick if Hal was to chime in and be Chenick at the very end.
Okay.
What's a Chenick?
Hobgoblin.
It's a hobgoblin, so you gotta have kind of an Australia British accent, you know.
Hold me more for what I
The rhyme combines lies mainly in the play.
Yeah.
It can be as British or as Australian as you want.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.